Welcome to Professor Pincushion. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can create your own belt loops so you can attach it to your waistband, and that way you'll be able to use a belt with your shorts, pants, or skirt. So let's get started. Here's the pattern piece that I'm going to be using in order to create my belt loops. So you can see it's one long piece, and I'm actually going to be cutting it up into individual pieces, and that's what's going to create every individual loop. If your pattern does not have a piece like this because it doesn't take into account of adding a belt loop, you can go ahead and incorporate it into your waistband. It's actually fairly easy to do. So the first thing you need to do is cut out a strip that's 17.5 by 2 1/8 inches this way. So 17.5 inches this way, 2 1/8 this way. So now we're going to move on to the next step, showing you how to fold the strip in order to create very narrow strips. First, you're going to take your strip and you're going to fold it in half lengthwise. So it's going to be wrong side together. So here's my wrong side, here's my right side, and I'm folding it in half. And then I'm going to press it so I get a nice crease here on the fold. I'm going to do this all the way down. Next, you're going to open up your strip so the wrong side is facing up, and you have this nice crease down the middle. And on each side of the long side, so this side and this side, you're going to bring the raw edge to meet in the middle, so right where that crease is. And you're going to press it all the way down. So I'll finish this side, but I just want to show you that you're also going to do the same thing on this side. Be careful not to burn yourself. And just create a nice crease on each side, like that. Next, you're going to take your strip and you're going to fold it back in half, just like you had it when you folded it half the first time. Then you're going to take it to your machine and you're going to stitch the whole length right on the edge, all the way down to the bottom, right along the fold. And then you're also going to do the same thing up here. You're going to stitch all the way down. So you're going to have two sets of stitches on either side of your strip, here and here. So this will keep the fold down permanently, and also it gives it a nice finished look to each of your strips. So you're going to take it to your machine after you pin it, stitch down this way, and then stitch down on this side. When stitching each side of my strip, I'm going to make sure that I do a back stitch on each end, and I'm just doing a regular width stitch. And I'm getting as close as I can to the edge, not going over, and trying to go as straight as possible. Next, you're going to cut your strip into 5 equal pieces. So for me, that's going to be 3.5 inches. I'm going to use my sewing gauge. I'm going to make a mark, and then I'm going to cut on my mark. Just like that, and then I'm just going to go down my line until I have 5 pieces. Next, you're going to attach each of your individual loops to your waistband. And on my waistband, yours may look differently than mine. Mine's kind of curved. My pattern has a series of dots, and I transfer these to my fabric, and this is going to show me where I place my loop. So for example, here's my mark, so I'm going to place a loop right here. And I'm actually only attaching it, only pinning it, the part that is considered the bottom of my waistband. So for me, I know it's the bottom because it has these darts here, and I'm going to match these darts to the top of my shorts. So yours may be differently, but just try to make sure that it's the bottom. Now, if you're just attaching your loops to a waistband that does not have any marks, you can go ahead and really, you can place these loops where you want to. There's no rule saying you have to place it right here. I mean, I kind of like to place one in the center of the back, and then maybe place one about every 6 or 7 inches apart. And if you want more loops, you can create more loops. So there's really no rules when you're creating stuff yourself. So once I have all my loops in place, and again, you'll notice that I'm only pinning on the bottom. I'm leaving this side loose. I'm going to take it to my machine and I'm going to do a basting stitch along this bottom raw edge so then I can remove the pins in my my loops are going to be tacked to my waistband so I can attach it to the top of my shorts or pants or whatever you're making. So I'm going to go ahead, take this to my machine so I can baste all down here on the bottom, and then we'll move on to the next step. So when doing a basting stitch, you're just going to choose the largest stitch on your machine. And I won't do any back stitching. Again, we're just temporarily tacking these pieces into place so they can hold for when we're attaching it to the top of our garment. And the seam allowance on this doesn't really matter, because we can remove it later, or if it's inside our seam allowance when we do our final stitching and you can't see it, you can just leave it. I'm just going to go ahead and do this all the way down. Now I'm going to go about attaching my waistband as I would normally to the top of my garment here. Here's my top of my shorts with my zipper down here in the middle. And you're going to place them right side to right side. So what you're basically creating a sandwich with your fabric. So I have my shorts in between. I'm going to have my belt loop right here, and then on the outside it's going to be my waistband. So the part, if you did it right, the part that's stitched where you did your basting stitch right now for your belt loop to your waistband, that should be up here at the top of the raw edge. The loose end is going to be down below that. So all I'm going to do is pin my waistband all the way around, just like you would do a regular waistband. You could just pretend like those belt loops aren't even there. And then after you do that, then you just go ahead and do your regular seam allowance. So for me, I would just do a 5-inch seam allowance, and that's going to attach then our belt loops right in the middle. So if I was to open this up, I have my waistband, I have my shorts, and the belt loop is going to be stitched right in between those. I mean, it's still going to be loose, but it's going to be in between that seam. So I'm just going to finish that. I'm going to do my seam allowance, and then we'll move on to the next step. So I have everything stitched in. Here's my little belt loops here. That's between my waistband and my pants. So at this point, what you're going to do is continue making your waistband as your directions tell you. Just going to continue on as normal. Just be sure to keep these out of the way. So if I was to take my waistband and fold it here and do a top stitch or something, I'm going to make sure that these just stay out of the way and I'm not stitching them. And I'll show you how to attach them after the waistband is complete. After you complete your waistband, the only last thing we need to do is we need to fix our loops. So on the raw edge of each of your loops, so here and here, you're going to turn it under 5/8 of an inch. So I'm just going to get my sewing gauge, measure 5/8 of an inch, and then I'm going to pin it to the top of my waistband like this. And I'm going to do this for all of my loops. Now you'll notice that my loop doesn't lay perfectly flat. It kind of sticks up a little bit. That's fine. Now if you do yours, let's say that's 5/8 of an inch and it's really sticking up and it's really sticking out, you can go ahead and trim it down a little bit. I mean, there's no rule saying you can't do that. So just trim it down, then fold it under and pin it to the top of the waistband. So it's just the way that you want it to be. Once you have all of these pinned, you're then going to take it to your machine and you're going to top stitch right along the top of your loop. So it's going to be right along the top. You can go ahead and do a regular stitch, and you're going to do it for all of your loops, and then that's what's going to keep it attached to the top of your waistband and therefore completing your loop. When I stitch across the top, I'm just doing a regular with stitch. Don't forget to do your back stitch. And I know it's thick, so you definitely need to struggle to get through it. There we go. And I'm doing it about 1/8 of an inch away from my edge. And back stitch at the end. All right, so there's one done. And now I just move on to the next one. With that, our belt loops are now complete. So you can go ahead and continue on finishing your waistband or finishing your garment. But this part is complete. You don't have to worry about it anymore. So after you're done, you can go ahead and enjoy your garment and be able to use a belt. New tutorials are released weekly, so please subscribe to be notified of the next release. Make sure to check out our other videos and visit ProfessorPincushion.com to view our complete library with well over 200 sewing video tutorials.
including our exclusive premium content. Our premium membership is only $5 a month for unlimited access and only available at ProfessorPincushion.com. Also, don't forget to download our mobile app for videos on the go. Thanks for watching.